full, no? Thank you.
Hello, Annabella, you can start.
Okay,
I will
Doc.
start the recording.
تمام إن شاء الله Doc. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Good evening. Tonight we will go through the similarities files, which is very important resource. Everyone looks forward to it because before exams or case studies, it helps in identifying the keywords of each question. It also teaches how to choose the correct answer and differentiate between similar answers, where a single added or removed word can completely change the meaning of the response. I have gathered all these details into a comprehensive document for us to analyze together. Okay, so how to facilitate change in organization? The first step in facilitating any change is leadership commitment. If you get a question asking how to facilitate change, what is the first step to facilitate change? Always look for the leadership commitment as the correct answer. Once you establish leadership commitment, the next step is creating urgency. Creating urgency is essential because it highlights the importance of change by emphasizing that a significant issue exists, making it necessary for the organization to evolve. Okay? Alternative ways of creating urgency is what we call or might appear in a question. So it directly as the word creating urgency or create urgency. So and indirectly as identify problems. Another variation is describe the problem. If both identify problems and describe the problem, it appears in the answer choices, always select the identify problems. Why? Because identifying problem comes first. It means recognizing and presenting issues as real and urgent to convince stakeholders that a serious problem exists. Okay, so when we say engaging stakeholders and reducing resistance to change, if the problem is not clear, what should you do? Okay, you have to sit down with the key stakeholders. Who are these key stakeholders? They are the process owners, the staff, and managers. And you have to gather the insights about the challenges they face. This helps create a shared understanding of why change is necessary. Okay, in handling the resistance to change, okay, resistance to change can be a major obstacle. Okay, so how to overcome it? You involve resistant employees early and you let them engage in decision making and ensure they participate in discussions from the beginning. When employees see the issue, excuse me, firsthand and are part of the discussion, they are more likely to support the change rather than resist it. The final steps in facilitating change is pilot testing the change. It demonstrates the benefits of the proposed change and show how the new system or process will improve work conditions and efficiency and provide clear examples of how it will positively impact staff and operations. Okay. Sample exam questions and answers. Let's answer it all together and discuss. Question number 1. Which of the following is the first step in facilitating change in an organization? We have letter A, review customer satisfaction surveys. B, take commitment from governing body. C, identify key people in the organization that should be involved. And D, develop a performance improvement. Okay, what is the answer here? We have here the take commitment from the governing body. Leadership commitment is different from simply getting authorization from higher ups, because leadership commitment means providing approval, offering support, ensuring resources are allocated, and encouraging staff participation, because approval alone is not enough to drive the change. Okay, for number 2, the quality professional can facilitate the development of a quality culture in the organization by assessing the organization's readiness to commit to change, B, preparing a long-range plan for cultural transformation, C, encouraging leaders to commit to a culture of excellence, and D, leading the cultural transformation redesign team. So the question comes, how to facilitate the quality of the development of quality change and the quality change process. In other words, it is asking how to facilitate. Okay, so how to facilitate change is by assessing the organizational readiness to commit to change. Is this correct? Abby? What about prepare a long-term plan for cultural transformation? Okay, for letter C, encouraging leaders to commit a cultural excellence. And lastly, the lead the transformation design, or leading the cultural transformation. Okay, in here we look at it. We will find the correct answer. Okay, we have the answer here is what? Yes, Abby, do you have any answer here? We have here assessing the organization's readiness to commit to change. This was mentioned before, right? And it was also said that the first step to facilitate change is to conduct an assessment of organizational readiness using the organizational readiness model, right? However, if this option is not available in the choices and we have the leadership commitment as an option, which one takes priority? Abby, do you have any idea? Okay, so which one to take priority is encouraging leaders to commit to a culture of excellence. We call it leadership commitment because it has the highest priority. Okay, next. The following is the first step in facilitating change in an organization. Okay, letter A, review customer satisfaction survey, or we have the TYTOR. Letter B, get feedback from staff on problems to be addressed. C, identify key people in the organization that should be involved. D, develop a performance improvement plan. Hello, Radha. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
In Riyadh.
Oh, welcome back. Okay, so do you have any answer for this?
Review customer satisfaction survey.
Okay. Now, forming the first step in facilitating change within an organization. Okay, this is the question. So the question is asking, should I review the customer satisfaction survey? Or what about get feedback from staff? And what about identify the key people in the organization? And also, what about develop a performance improvement program? What do you think based on the first slide and the steps of facilitation for change? Where should the first step be? The correct answer here is?
A.
No. Is to gather background information. Okay, gather information about the problems that needs to be addressed. So meaning letter B here is the correct answer. Okay. However, this question is a tricky one. I wanted you to focus on the answer because there is another possible response that might appear in the future. So for example, if the question asks about reviewing the customer satisfaction surveys, someone might choose that, but we have already agreed that the best answer here is to gather or get feedback from staff on problems to be addressed, just like we mentioned in our steps. in the first slide. Remember when the question asks about the first step? Okay, so there is no need to overthink about it. But the answer here is letter B, is to get feedback from staff on problems to be addressed. Okay, number 4, which of the following occurs first in facilitating change in an organization? Okay, we have letter A, identify problems to be addressed in the organization. B, solicit feedback from the management. C, select key people in the organization to serve on the team. D, develop a performance improvement plan. What are the 5 steps of change? It is also asking about the 5 steps. So we have to identify problems to be addressed in here. And based on the steps we discussed earlier, we said that the first step is to create urgency. And the best answer that achieves urgency is to?
Identify the
Of
problem.
course, very good, Radha. Okay. Yes, identify problems to be addressed in the organization. Okay, next. The best way to facilitate change within a healthcare organization is to A, involve the individual directly affected by the change, B, communicate through group meeting, C, arrange presentation by senior leaders, D, communicate through group email. What is the
Yes.
answer here? Letter
Involve the
A,
individual
involve.
directly.
Okay. The best approach is to conduct, okay, a group meeting with the people directly affected by the change. So let them involve the individual directly. Okay, so who do we call them? Or what do we refer them as? They are?
Who is involving in the change?
Process owner or the
Yeah,
stakeholders.
the process owner.
Yes. Baby, can you change the battery for me, please? Okay. The process owners or the stakeholders must involve because for the change to be successful, they must be involved. Okay? Don't forget this one. Number 6, the following is the first step to facilitate a change in an organization. Okay, letter A, identify problems to be addressed in the organization. B, get feedback from staff on the problems to be addressed. C, identify key people in the organization who should be involved. And D, develop a performance improvement plan.
Identify problem.
Okay, the first step to facilitate change in an organization, as we have said, identifying the problems that need to be addressed in the organization and determining the organizational readiness for change. So we mentioned here that when we both identify problems and gather background information as options, the better answer is to identify problems. Okay, the letter A is the answer. Number 7. An organization decided to implement change that will largely affect the nature of employees' jobs to ensure the success of the change. So letter A here is to assess staff readiness to change. B is to demonstrate leadership commitment. C, conduct meeting with staff to show them the compliance benefits and non-compliance consequences. And D, make disciplinary action to the non-compliant. In an organization that has decided to implement change that will largely affect the nature of working groups to ensure the success of the change. So in here, I want to point out something. So let's go back to the steps we discussed for facilitating change. Number 1 is the leadership commitment. Then next is create organizational urgency. Okay, which can be achieved by identifying the problems or gathering background information. And 3 is to engage people with the intended parts. And 4, final step is depending on this specific situation. So now if the question states that the organization has decided to implement change, it implies that leadership commitment is already present. Okay, decided. The keyword here is decided. So it means that leadership is already present because who decides? Who
Leaders.
decides?
Leaders.
It's, of course, Very good. So when the question says organization decided, it means leadership commitment is already established. Okay, therefore, when looking at the answer choices, we can eliminate the leadership commitment. So we have already here eliminated this one and focus on the next step. So in this case, we should choose
Staff,
we should choose the assess staff readiness to
staff
change.
readiness.
Yes, if the question had been about how to facilitate the change, you would have selected the leadership commitment as the first step. But the word decided changes the answer because it indicates that leadership is already, commitment is already done. You know, a small word can change the answer entirely. So just please be careful. Okay?
Okay.
Let's move on to the cultural change. A chief quality officer has the responsibility for education and implementation of a continuous quality improvement process. To affect the cultural change, administration must A, believe the costs are justified by the benefits. B, be assigned as a member of a team. C, receive quarterly reports. And D, limit training to managers and supervisors. Okay, what it is saying, the question, what it implies. And here it asks, administration must do what?
Leave the cost.
Okay, and another question, to affect cultural change. So the quality officer must do what? It means that here we want to implement the continuous quality improvement process. So what is your role as a quality professional? And what will be the administration's role? Or when should the administration be involved with you to affect the quality change and to convince them of this change? Okay, who? So it is the administration. Okay. Always cares about what? The administration cares about? What
Main-
is their main concern? Cost.
Cultural changes.
Cost. Money.
Cost.
Okay. So here, the answer choices are believe the costs are justified by the benefits. B, be assigned as a member of a team. C, receive quarterly reports. D, limit training to managers and supervisors.
Believe the costs are justified by the benefits.
Yes, this is correct answer. Now, as soon as you see administration, okay, what does that mean? They care about the cost.
Cost.
Yes, they want to know, what will I gain? What are the benefits? What is the return on investment, or the ROI? Okay, this is what matters to the administration. Number 2, a chief quality officer has the responsibility for education and implementation of a quality improvement process. To affect cultural change, the chief quality officer must, okay, but what about you as a quality professional in here, the question here? So for you to affect change, you need to be a visible participant in the process. So you must be an active participant. So that is why letter B is the correct answers. The correct answer. We have the choices. A, believe the costs are justified by the benefits. And letter C, receive quarterly reports. And D, limit training to managers and supervisors. So be a visible participant in the process is the correct answer here. Because it says that as a quality professional, your role is to contribute, to support the facets of the process, and to be an active participant in the quality change process. Okay, this is the difference. This is exactly the kind of question where one word can change the answer. So careful again to read the statements or questions. Moving on, in the business cycle, the negative cash flow present in which of the following stages? Okay, we have the growth stage, B, harvest stage, C, maintenance stage, D, gain stage. Okay, in the business cycle, the negative cash flow, which of the following? So as you can remember, we have here, here in the business cycle, if we remember the business cycle, how did we start with it? We started it with 0. Tamam? So here is the positive cash flow and the negative cash flow. So from the beginning, even before I enter the project, I am in the growth. Okay, I am in the growth phase, meaning I am spending a lot of money and my expenses are high. Okay, so this is our growth phase. What about this happens during the negative cash flow phase? After that, I reach a point here. I reach a point here. And this is what you call, this point is where the loss and benefit become equal to 0. What do we call it in this one? Break even point. You still remember? Okay, this is the break even point where both values are equal. Okay. After that, my benefits increase. My benefits increase. Okay. Towards the positive, so meaning increase. So,
stage.
yeah. After that, benefits increase, and here the positive cash flow begins. And this happens in the gain. You remember?
Yes.
Or the harvest phase. Very good. Which is where the project life cycle ends. So in the question asked, in which phase does negative cash flow occur? Of course, in the growth stage. And in which phase does positive cash flow occur? Positive cash flow happens in which phase?
Harvest and gain.
Very good. Yes, both of them. Okay, so clear. Now about the case manager, and we have question number 1. A patient not given enough instruction on the care plan. This is to be A, transition care, B, case management, C, medical coverage, D, reconciliation.
Case manager.
Okay, yes. Now, case management, if the patient is discharged from the hospital and did not receive or left the hospital without receiving any instructions about the plan of care or treatment plan, who is responsible for care coordination and ensuring that the patient is involved in the plan of care? So we have the answer, case management. Okay. The patient discharged without any counseling of his care. This problem concerned with a medical coverage, B, case management, C, transition care.
Case management.
Okay, now it's the same issue here. If it happened under case management and the patient was discharged without counseling, what happens? And what if the patient was discharged from the hospital without receiving counseling? What does this mean? When we say counseling, means the patient learns about the instructions they must follow, how to use or take medications, yes, or if there are any medical devices such as ventilator or any other device to be used at home, how to use it correctly. If counseling was not done, this still falls under case management, because one of the responsibilities of case management is to ensure that the patient has received the counseling of care. Clear? Okay. Risk manager. Which of the following is the primary goal of risk management? A, identify the high-risk areas of the organization. B, maintain an effective incident reporting system. C, perform failure mode and effects analysis, or FEMIA. D, reduce the financial loss associated with legal actions. We said we were comparing between the goals and roles. Okay, goals. And we mentioned that one of the roles of the risk manager is to
reduce risk.
Yes, reduce financial loss and conduct
Legal action.
Risk analysis. Okay. However, when you are asked about the goal, the primary goal is what? Patient.
Safety.
Very good. Yes, patient safety. Patient safety is the main group objective through identifying and managing risk that the patient may be exposed to and trying to reduce them. So this is always the first stopping point in questions. Now let's look at the questions. Which of the following? Okay, by the way, all the questions are repeated in the revisions. So all these questions, you might be seeing this in the exam also. So which of the following is the primary goal of risk management?
Reduce
Is to
financial
reduce financial loss associated with legal actions and conduct the risk.
risk management.
Yes. Okay, so now let's move on to number 2. Which of the following is the primary goal of risk management? A, identify and manage risks to promote patient safety. B, maintain an effective incident reporting system. D, C, failure, perform FEMIA. D, eliminate financial loss associated with legal actions. Now let's look at the question. So in here, as we have said, is to which of the following is the primary to identify and manage to promote patient safety and financial loss. But here it says eliminate financial loss. First of all, eliminate is an incorrect word and it made the whole sentence wrong because in reality, financial loss can never be eliminated, only to reduce. Yes. So the presence of the eliminate made the word incorrect. Instead, we choose identify and manage, which is a very accurate and correct phrasing. This is the best answer. Now, what if they ask identify and manage risk and reduce financial loss instead of eliminate? Both statements are correct. So which one should we prioritize? Or what will we all choose?
Identify and manage risk.
We will all choose. So identify and manage because it has the highest priority in risk management. And if you see in the question exam, reduce financial loss, then this is correct. But if it is eliminate, the sentence will be incorrect. Okay, if you see there is an identify and manage risk, then this is your best answer. But if you see reduce financial loss, then it is the correct answer. Okay?
Okay.
Now, number 3. The primary purpose of risk management trend analysis is to A, identify opportunities for improvements. B, meet regulatory requirements. C, provide required reports to liability carriers. D, eliminate financial loss for organizations. Okay. Now we will go back to the slide on management. I hope that you can still remember this one. It says that we trend the collected data. So what does it mean? It means that we gather copies of incident reports, then we trend them in terms of frequency, how often they occur, and the high risk areas, and etc. So why do we do this? Why do we analyze the data that comes from incident reports?
How often it occurs?
To
lead to, we can make improvements in this.
Very good, Radha. Yes, to improve things. We do this to make improvements. That means I want to identify the weaknesses, which we call opportunities for improvement. So the goal is to identify opportunities for improvement. Now, back to the previous point. If I get the question that asks about identify and manage risk, and another option says reduction of financial loss, meaning both are listed as choices. Which one would be the first priority goal?
Priority is
Which
to
one would be the
reduce
first
financial
priority?
loss.
Because the main goal is prevention.
Yes.
So the correct answer is identify
Identify
and
opportunities for
manage
improvement.
risks. That is the correct prevention. Okay, so here is to identify opportunities for
For
improvements.
improvement. Okay.
Number 4, an effective risk management program for a healthcare organization emphasizes A, harm prevention for patients, visitors, and staff. B, reduction of financial losses. C, staff training and education. D, compliance with accrediting agency standards. Okay, so the answer here is letter A.
Prevention for patients.
Because an effective risk management program for a healthcare organization should emphasize what?
Safety of the patient.
Emphasize.
Prevention for patients.
Risk management focuses on what? Here, the question includes 2 correct answers, okay? We have the reduction of financial losses and the harm prevention. So which one is the best answer?
Harm prevention for patients.
Yes, because as we have said that the main goal is prevention.
Patient safety.
Aywa. So this is the priority answer, which is the harm prevention for patients, visitors, and staff. Okay, so here, examples of Sentinel event. When we say Sentinel event, it's a serious, unexpected occurrence in a healthcare setting that results in death, permanent harm, or severe temporary harm requiring intervention. These events signal a need for immediate investigation and response to prevent future occurrences. So we have here a patient attempt suicide. We have also B, hemolytic transfusion reaction, C, death of patient due to medical error, and D, surgery on wrong part of the body, or right, either right or left, instead of left leg. So among the examples of Sentinel events, of course, there are so many. If we go to Google or any website and search for Sentinel events, we will see a list of 29
Now
Yes.
32.
Sentinel events. So some examples of Sentinel events, okay, are attempted suicide. Suicide itself is considered a Sentinel event. What about hemolytic transfusion reaction?
A Sentinel event.
If hemolysis occurs after a blood transfusion, this is also a hemolytic transfusion reaction. What about death of a patient due to a medication error? What is this?
Sentinel event.
Yes, exactly. What about wrong site surgery?
Sentinel event.
Very good. What about foreign body, or we forgot something in during operation?
Sentinel event.
Yes. If we forgot something inside patient's abdomen, okay, this is of course definitely a Sentinel event. Okay. Of the followings, not example for Sentinel event. What's the answer here? It's hemolytic drug reaction.
Yes.
Now let's look at some questions. Here, okay. When we say the patient attempted suicide,
Sentinel
of
event.
course, this is a Sentinel because both suicide attempts and suicide itself are Sentinel events. Sentinel events. What about a suicide threat? A suicide threat is considered a trigger. Suicide attempt. Suicide attempt is a trigger. What is a suicide trigger? A trigger is like an alarm, a warning sign. So it means pay attention that this patient has threatened suicide, meaning keep an eye on them. Okay, this threat could be serious or it could be an exaggeration. So it's a sentinel event. What about hemolytic drug reaction? Is this a sentinel event?
Drug reaction, no.
So what is this, therefore? Hmm?
Uh,
What about you, Miss Abby? What is
Yes.
hemolytic drug reaction? Okay. We said that hemolytic transfusion reaction is a sentinel event, right? But this happens when hemolysis occurs due to incompatible blood transfusion, and that would make it a sentinel event. But if a patient experiences hemolysis due to a medication, meaning they took a drug and had side effects that caused hemolysis, is this still a sentinel event?
no.
Yes, no. So what do you call this? That is considered an adverse drug
Adverse reaction.
reaction. Okay, so this is not a sentinel event. What about death of a patient due to a medication error? Is this a sentinel event?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. If the patient dies due to a medical procedure error, medication mistake, or any medical error, it is considered a sentinel event. What about wrong site surgery?
Sentinel event.
Very good. Yes, so which action is not a sentinel event here? It's the hemolytic.
Hemolytic drug reaction.
Yes, okay. Number 2, of the followings, not example for sentinel event. Again, letter A. Patient threatening to suicide within 24 hours after admit. B, hemolytic transfusion reaction. C, death of patient due to medication error. D, and surgery on wrong part of the body.
Yeah. Yeah. Patient.
Hey, okay. So we must understand, okay, we have already discussed about the adverse drug reaction, right? So now, because some people, as soon as they see hemolytic, so might immediately assume it's a sentinel event. Be careful always, but no, okay? When we say hemolytic drug reaction, it is the, okay, adverse drug reaction. And hemolytic transfusion reaction, it's a sentinel event. But what about the patient attempted suicide or attempted self-harm?
It is sentinel event.
This is a sentinel event? Okay.
Because only if it's threatening, it's a trigger alarm.
This is a trigger. So still not the patient did not committed the suicide. Yes. So only a trigger. So as I mentioned, be watch out and you have to closely monitor the patient because there is a sign to do the suicide. Okay?
Yeah.
So it is not a sentinel event because still patient threatening to suicide. So meaning it's still a trigger. Okay? Clear?
Clear.
Yalla. Root cause analysis. Number 1, when an incident to patient is occurred, the appropriate action is A, distract the attention of the patient, discuss the incidents with the staff and make action plan. B, distract the attention of the patient, make punishment on the responsible for the incidents. D, distract the attention of the patient and the staff and make an action plan. And D, make no action. So it is, okay. So the answer here is letter A. So distract the attention of the patient, discuss the incidents with the staff, and make action plan. So meaning it is a
Action
root
plan.
cause analysis, RCA. Okay, the question here in root cause analysis asks, where are actions to be taken in the event of an incident with a patient? Okay, among the options, when any incident happens with a patient, the appropriate action that we must take
root
is
cause analysis.
we must conduct a discussion.
Yeah.
The text below states that we must discuss the incident with the patient and with the staff. Okay, then create an action plan. Then we must conduct an RCA. We
Yeah.
need to understand the causes of the incident and identify what led to the incident. This incident is not classified as an adverse event. Adverse drug reaction are considered adverse events. Adverse drug reactions fall under the category of adverse events, or hospital-acquired infections also fall under incident reporting. So, what should be done when an incident occurs? Any patient safety incident requires first disclosure and discussion with the patient. Next, discussion with the staff involved. Next would be analyzing the incident. And lastly is to develop an action plan. So this is the correct answer. Distract the attention of the patient, discuss the incidents with the staff, and make action plan. So if the options, okay, provided include disclosure of patient information or discussion with staff or any form of discussion, then those answers are incorrect. However, in the specific question here, the options were either no action, discuss the incident with the patient, review the incident with the staff, and create an action plan. What is the best answer here? The best possible answer in this case is review the incidents with the patient, family, and staff, or ensure transparency and study the incident thoroughly, and then create an action plan. So the answer for this is this letter A. You have to discuss the incidents with the staff and to make action plan. Okay. Number 2, when an incident to patient is occurring, the appropriate action is A, distract the attention of the patient, discuss the incidents with the staff and make action plan. B, discuss the incidents with the patient, make punishment on responsible for the incidents. C, discuss the incidents with the patient and the staff and make an action plan. Letter D, make no action. If these specific answers are not available, then the next best option would be discuss the incident with the patient and staff.
And make action plan.
Because the other option suggests punishing the staff. Okay, punishing the staff, which is and that this contradicts the quality and patient safety standards because we do not apply punishment in quality improvement settings. No way. Instead, we focus on understanding the root cause of the system failure. In this question, the option discussion with the patient and staff is also incorrect. Discussion of incidents with the patient is also incorrect because it did not include transparency and action planning. Okay, so in here, the answer here is to discuss the incidents with the patient and the staff and make an action plan. Clear?
Clear.
Process outcome. The percentage of early diagnosed breast cancer after using a new imaging technique is considered a structure measure, B, process measure, C, outcome measure, D, continuous measure.
Outcome measure.
Okay. Yes, it's an outcome measure. Now let's talk about the process and outcome. Example case. Here is the breast cancer screening. The number of people diagnosed with breast cancer. So after using a new imaging technique for detection. What does this count as? The number of people diagnosed with breast cancer and after using a new imaging, the technique for detection. Is it process or outcome?
Outcome.
Very good. The number of people who underwent a specific procedure, this is considered as an outcome. Okay. So number 2, the number of designated women receiving breast cancer screening or the mammograms in the reporting year measures A, process, B, clinical outcome, C, process outcome, D, process and clinical outcome.
Process.
We already said, okay, it's an outcome, right? So now what type of outcome is this? What type of outcome is it? Is it clinical outcome or process outcome? Or both process and clinical outcome?
Process
So
outcome.
it's the process outcome. Understanding both the process and clinical outcome. So the difference is that what is the process here, by the way? The process refers to the screening. This is the process. So we gathered a group of women and performed breast and cancer screening. The screening procedure itself is the process. What is the outcome here then? The outcome is the number of women, designated women, who underwent screening. The outcome results from the screening process. Thus, this is called a process outcome or an outcome of the screening process. Why is it not a clinical outcome? Because when we say clinical outcome, this refers to situations where a medical intervention leads to a direct clinical result. Example, a patient comes in with a fracture. A surgical procedure is performed. The fracture heals. This is a clinical outcome. But in our case, the procedure was purely investigative, which is the screening. Screening is not a treatment. It is an investigation. Since no direct medical interventions was performed, it cannot be classified as a clinical outcome. So the correct classification is process outcome. Okay? Is this understood? Okay, to summarize, if we are measuring the percentage or number of people screened, this is an outcome. What kind of outcome? It is not a clinical outcome because it is not a treatment. It is a process outcome because it is the result of an investigative procedure. Clear?
Clear.
Yalla. Return demonstrations. Number 1. Which of the following is the best approach when implementing A, national patient safety goal related to identifying potential errors in a patient's care, treatment, and services? Okay, letter A, I'm sorry. Letter A, providing the patient and family an opportunity to ask questions. B, having the patient provide return demonstration of the knowledge provided. C, showing a video to a patient and their family. D, giving both written and verbal instructions to a patient and family. Okay. So in here, we agreed that return demonstration is the best method. Okay, best method. To ensure that the patient fully understands the instructions prior for discharge. So it is not enough to ask the patient, did you understand? And they simply reply you, yes, I understood. Instead, they must demonstrate how they will use the medication or perform the required action. Return demonstration is the best method to confirm patient compliance with the required instructions. However, we do not select this method in cases where the question states according to national patient safety policies. In this case, we are not required to conduct a demonstration. Instead, we must provide the patient with both written
Written
and
and
verbal
verbal.
instructions to patient and family. Because in here, a national patient safety goal word is here. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, we do not select this method, this return demonstration method, in cases where the question states according or implementing a national patient safety policies or national patient safety goal. So instead, we must provide the patient giving both written and verbal instructions. Okay?
Yes.
Clear?
Yeah.
But if there is no words, a national patient safety goal, then the answer would be the return demonstration or having the patient provide return demonstration of the knowledge provided. Tamam?
Yes.
Okay. A facility decided to implement standard precautions 1 year ago, but compliance has been poor. In addition to assessing the causes for poor compliance, the most effective way for the organization to improve compliance is to A, stock personal protective equipment or the PPE in the clean utility room. B, initiate return demonstration as part of staff competency. C, show a videotape on standard precautions quarterly. And D, review and revise hand washing policies and procedures. Which of the following is the best approach for implementing national patient safety policies related
Written,
to identifying potential errors in patient care, treatment, and safety?
initiate written
So,
demonstration.
okay. Since
Demonstration.
providing the patient family an opportunity to ask questions, having the patient perform a return demonstration to confirm knowledge, and showing a video. Okay, so the correct answer here is when, if the question mentions national patient safety policies, the correct answer is providing written and verbal instructions, right? So, however, if the
Yes.
question does not mention national patient safety policy, the best choice would be the return demonstration. So here is to initiate return demonstration as part. Okay, because it was not mentioned. The words
IPS.
national patient safety
Yeah.
policies. Okay. Next. Okay. Patient fails to implement new policies. If a patient, for example, if the question fails to implement new policies, if a patient fails to comply with newly introduced policies, and the cause of non-compliance needs to be determined, the most effective way for the organization to improve compliance is we need to understand why the non-compliance occurred, okay? So maybe there may be issues in the policy itself, making it difficult to implement, or the staff may be misinterpreting or not fully understanding the policies. So the best approach here is the simulation or the return demonstration. We let the staff demonstrate how they apply the policy in practice. This allows us to identify the mistakes and pinpoint the exact problem. Okay, another also here is the question option for the stock inventory. Okay, stock inventory for the PPE. Initiate resources aspect of stocks completeness. So in showing a video, meaning to review and refine the workflow procedures, reviewing and refining workflow procedure is a great step. But it should only be done after conducting a return demonstration, which is the simulation, to identify the exact issue. Therefore, so the correct answer or step here is to initiate the RD as a part of staff competency. In summary, return demonstration is the best way to confirm patient and understanding and staff compliance. Okay, so again, if national patient safety policies are mentioned, we choose written and verbal instructions instead. If there is an issue with policy implementation, we first conduct a return demonstration to identify the issue, then adjust policies as needed. Okay. A facility decided to implement standard precautions 1 year ago, but compliance has been poor. In addition to assessing the causes for poor compliance, the most effective way for the organization to improve compliance is to A, stock PPE in the clean utility room, B, have employees demonstrate the use of PPE as a part of staff competency, C, show a videotape on standard precautions quarterly, and D, review and revise hand washing policies and procedures. Same question, but different wordings. The same question appears again, but the wording has changed. Instead of saying stop the PPE, the options now include have the patient receive continuous use of PPE and the stop video and review the procedures. So still the correct answer here is return demonstration. Still return demonstration. Have employees demonstrate, which is okay in return demonstration. Okay. Next, a hospital is working to reduce readmissions. Which of the following is the best approach to accomplish this goal? A, giving an education sheet on patient medication to the patient and family. B, having the patient provide return demonstration of the knowledge provide. C, showing a video to a patient and their family. D, requesting the home health nurse provide patient instruction. Okay. The answer?
B.
Yes.
Having the patient return demonstration.
Yeah. A hospital is working to reduce readmissions. So which of the following is the best approach to achieve this goal? So by having patient provide return demonstration. What about for giving an education to the patient on how to take medications and follow instructions with family support?
Education is
Okay.
required, but how much the patient is understood by different demonstration.
Very good. If the goal is to ensure patient understanding, just giving an education sheet is not enough alone. So the best method is to have the patient demonstrate that they fully understand how to take medications or follow discharge instructions. Okay. If the question asks about reducing readmissions, the best answer is always return demonstration. Okay. A patient was taught how to self-administer insulin. Which of the following is the best method to assess patient's understanding of the teaching? A, return demonstration. B, patient satisfaction survey. C, family's ability to verbalize instructions. D, written pre and post test. Okay, still it is return demonstration. So in here, the patient had to administer the insulin, and he had to administer the medication orally with attention. So which of the following? So for example, he had to administer the medication orally with attention. Which of the following is the best method to help the patient understand oral medication instructions? So we have the verbal instructions, right? We have also, it can be written instruction, and it can be showing medication administration instruction to the family, or a brief written pamphlet. So which is the best option here? Which is the best option on which is the best method to help the patient understand oral medication instruction?
Return demonstration.
Return, but there is no return demonstration in the choices. The choices are verbal instructions, written instructions, showing medication administration instruction to the family, and a brief written pamphlet. So which is the best option?
Brief written pamphlets.
Okay, no. The best option is verbal instructions. Which of the following is the best to help the patient understand oral medication? Because the patient had to administer the medication orally. This is another question. So the patient had to administer medication orally, and he had to administer the medication orally with attention. Okay, so which of these four best method to help the patient understand oral, since there is no return demonstration here. So among the 4 choices, which are verbal instructions, written, and showing medication administration, instruction to the family, and a brief written pamphlet, the best one is verbal instructions, okay? If you might encounter this type of question.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on. Higher LOS or length of stay. Number 1, a utilization management department of a hospital has collected data on length of stay and readmission rates. Compared to benchmarks, the length of stay rates are higher and readmission are lower. Which of the following is the next step? A, identify additional benchmarks to compare the data. B, conduct a cost-benefit analysis. C, display readmission rates with a run chart. D, investigate the length of stay rates. Okay, so the answer here is letter D. So these 2 questions says that the hospital management, collects the data on the length of stay and the readmission rates are low. So where is the problem here? When the length of stay is high, okay, and the readmission rate is low. Readmission rate is low. Is the problem in one factor or both? So where is the problem? The problem here is in the length of stay. What is the first step to take? First is to identify because compared to benchmarks, identify additional benchmark data. Next would be it can it be I can conduct a cost benefit analysis, or your first step would be to display the readmission rate in a bar chart or investigate the length of the stay rate. Where is the problem? The problem here is in the length of stay, as I've said. So the first step would be to conduct or investigate into the area where the problem exists, because the length of stay is increased. Okay. So now let's move on to number 2. A utilization management department of a hospital has collected data on length of stay and readmission rates. Compared to benchmarks, the length of stay rates are higher and readmissions are lower. Okay, these 2 problems. The length of stay, again, is higher, and another problem is readmission rate is lower. So which of the following is the next step? Okay, so what if the option change? If the question remains the same, but instead of investigate the length of stay, they replace it with continuous monitoring length of stay rate. So should we choose that, or should we choose this continue to monitor length of stay? No. Why can't we choose the continuous monitoring of the length of stay? Because it is already high. So because the length of stay is already high, we agree that we should never choose the continuous monitoring when there is a problem. So how can I have a problem and not to investigate it, choosing continuous monitoring instead? Continuous monitoring is only chosen when everything is stable and there are no problems. So if there is a problem, we cannot choose the continue to monitor length of stay rates. Now, between the 2 remaining options, to analyze the readmission rate using a bar chart. Okay, would this be the answer? But the readmission rate is already low, right? So why to analyze it when it is not the problem? What about identification, additional benchmark to compare data? Why look for more benchmarks when the existing data is already showing a problem? So meaning we already know that the length of stay is too high. What about conducting a cost-benefit analysis? It could be an option, but why? Because
The
a
cost.
cost-benefit analysis examines the cost of the increased length of stay to see if it led to a lower readmission rate. If keeping patient in the hospital longer fully treated them, reducing readmissions, was it worth it?
No.
Again, if keeping patients in the hospital longer fully treated them and reducing the readmission, was it worth it?
No.
A cost benefit analysis would determine if the extra hospital days justified the better outcomes. When we say cost benefit analysis versus cost effectiveness analysis, when we say cost benefit analysis here, it actually it should be called a cost effectiveness analysis, by the way, because cost effectiveness compares monetary cost against patient outcomes. And when we say cost benefit analysis, it is a proactive, while cost effectiveness is retrospective. Since we already have the length of stay of data and the readmission rate, we are analyzing the past data, which is the cost effectiveness, making this a retrospective analysis, which aligns better with cost effectiveness rather than the cost benefit analysis. So technically, the best term should be cost effectiveness. It is not the cost benefit analysis, but rather than the cost effectiveness analysis. Okay, this is with technical error, but this is cost effectiveness. Okay, if you happen to encounter such questions, so if you see the answer here or any of the options that would answer cost effectiveness, that would be the answer. If with the same statement, okay?
Okay.
So again, to summarize, a cost-benefit analysis helps determine, was the increased length of stay beneficial? Did it actually reduce readmission as expected? Was the cost justified? Why didn't we choose this option in the previous question? Because before conducting an analysis, we first need to investigate the problem. First, we have to identify the root cause. Then, if necessary, perform a cost-benefit analysis. The key difference between the two questions is how the answer options were changed. Okay? So, the difference between the quality assurance and the total quality management is that quality assurance is considered a part of continuous quality management, or the CQM, but the focus differs between them. So the key difference in the exam questions, what does quality assurance focus on? It focuses on the individual. Okay, this is individual or person due to individual. For the continuous quality management, it focuses on the system due to system. So we have a question here. One major difference between the traditional quality assurance and quality improvement is that quality improvement A stresses peer review, while QA focuses on the customer. B focuses on the individual, while QA focuses on the process. C stresses management by objective, while QA stresses team management. D focuses on the process, while QA focuses on individual performance.
Yes.
So letter D, this focuses on the process, while QA focuses on individual performance. Okay, so quality improvement focuses on reviewing quality, and quality assurance focuses on the program. This is incorrect because it is the opposite. For quality improvement, it doesn't focus on the program review. It is the quality is about ensuring the compliance with the standards. So which of this is true? Quality assurance focuses on individual performance, while quality improvement focuses on processes. So this is the correct distinction. Okay. Number 2, the physical difference between quality assurance and continuous quality improvement is a shift focus from A, retrospective review to concurrent screening, B, individual faults to focus on customer satisfaction, C, identify poor performers to good performance, and D, short-term gain to long-term one. What is the key shift in focus between QA and CQM? Okay, the shift is from reactive review to continuous improvement. So this is a correct answer. So always look for an answer related to process improvement. Okay, process improvement. Yes, the quality assurance is reactive, meaning no improvement was made until a problem occurred. Only reviewed issues after they happened. But now, in CQM, improvement is ongoing. So which of these best describes the shift? When we say focus on customer satisfaction, okay, in here, this is not precise, but identifying and improving the process, okay, this is correct. Identify poor performance to good performance. What's the key again? The key shift in this focus, the shift is from individual blame to system improvement. This is the most accurate. Individual blame to system improvement. Okay. So to summarize, quality assurance focuses on individuals. It is a reactive or response to problems after they occur. While for the continuous quality improvement, focuses on the process improvement, and it is proactive because this prevents problems before they happen. Okay. Medication reconciliation. Medication reconciliation. A, help in efficient use of medication. B, identify discrepancies in meds. C, identify and resolve medication discrepancies.
Identify and resolve
Okay.
medication.
Yes. So by the way, what is medication reconciliation? So it is a process done in specific stages. In which stage do we perform medication reconciliation? And what is the purpose?
Time of admission.
Yes, very
And
good.
the purpose is that this medication will be suitable for the next.
And done to compare the medications a patient is
needed or
currently
not.
taking with the medication they are supposed to take. So a new medication list is created. So any discrepancies or missing medications can easily be identified and adjustments are made as necessary. So what are the key elements of medication reconciliation? What is the main goal? Is ensuring patient safety by accurately managing medications. The core focus is on patient safety and preventing medication errors. Very good. Okay. Number 2, implementation of the medication reconciliation process required the interdisciplinary efforts of A, nurse, physicians, laboratory technicians, and informatics. B, nurse, physicians, pharmacists, and informatics. C, nurse, physicians, chaplains, and informatics. D, nurse, physicians, pharmacists, and medical therapists. It's D. Yes. When is medication reconciliation performed? So we said at the admission and also during transfer between units and at the time of discharge. So these 3 are the primary stages. And what about the 4th stage? Who else plays a major role in this process?
Informatics.
Very good. Yes. Health informatics professionals help in information management because they are ensuring that all medication data is correctly recorded in the system. Why is health informatics important in medication reconciliation? Because they integrate all medication records across different systems. This helps in reducing errors and ensuring accurate medication tracking. Health informatics also ensures that the right medications are prescribed and administered. Okay, clear?
Okay.
Okay, moving on to compensable events. Number 1, on discharge, the patient refused billing because 2 out of 3 days of his stay in the hospital is due to medication anaphylaxis. This occurrence is A, billing error, B, potentially compensable event, C, nurse incompetence, D, admission error.
Potentially compensable event.
Okay. Yes, this situation could potentially lead to a lawsuit or legal case. So the patient during the interview mentioned that they were allergic to a specific medication, and both incidents were due to medication errors. Medication errors means that the patient experienced a hypersensitivity reaction due to an incorrect medication being administered. So this means the root cause of the incident is a medication
Medication
error.
error.
Now, if we classify this incident, should it be considered a serious occurrence, potential complication, nursing confidence issue, or administration error?
Potential
The correct classification is administration error, not nursing confidence issue. Okay?
admission error.
Because because confidence here does not relate to a factual error that occurred. Also, it should not be classified as a natural medical complication because a complication refers to something that happens due to the nature of a disease or treatment, while this was an unavoidable medication administration error. So letter B is correct answer. Potentially compensable event. Okay, so a patient complained that there is an error in writing the bill because 2 out of 3 days of her stay in hospital due to anaphylaxis. The HQP should consider that healthcare quality professional. Okay, letter A, billing error, B, medication error, C, unexpected adverse occurrence, and the admission error. Okay, in here, if the same question is asked differently to test professional knowledge, how should this error be categorized? Is it serious occurrence, medication error, incorrect administration error, or admission error? Okay, the correct answer would be the unexpected adverse occurrence because any medication error that happens is actually an incorrect administration error. So if that option is not available, then the next best answer would be medication error. If that is also unavailable and other options like the nursing complication appear, then medication error should be chosen. So either of the two. Okay. So either medication error or the
unexpected adverse occurrence.
yes. So the key here is understanding that any mistake in administering medication falls under incorrect administration before it can be classified as anything else. Okay? So either of the two. Now let's move on. PDCA. After the team action the plan and implement it and made recommendation, what next step on PDCA cycle is now should follow? A, plan, B, do, C, check, D, act. Okay, it's letter D. And this, and these are the checks. And we have explained this before. When we reach the check phase, if we find that the results are not satisfactory, should we continue or go back to the plan? Not satisfactory. Of course, we will not. Of course, we will. Okay. We will continue, but does that mean that I should apply the same actions across the entire organization? No, I won't generalize. So instead, I will put recommendation for the new cycle. I will document recommendations for the next cycle based on the results. Close the current cycle and start a new cycle from the PDSA, the Plan Do Study Act. So in this case, what have I done? I took recommendations from the check phase and used them for feedback. Now, after the team has taken action on the plan, implemented it, and made recommendations, so what is the next step in the PDSA cycle? Since we made recommendations in the check phase, so the next step should be act. Okay, again, should I repeat it? So after the team has taken an action on the plan, implemented it already, and made recommendations, so what will be the next step in the PDSA cycle? So since we made the recommendations already in the check phase, PDCA cycle, sorry, in the check phase, the next should be act. Okay. So number 2, after the team action, the plan and implement it, analyze data shows not reaching the target. What is the next step on PDCA cycle is now should follow. A, plan, B, do, C, check, D, act.
Again, action.
Now, yes, it's again act because if after implementing the plan, we analyze the data and find that the target was not achieved. So what is the next step? The answer remains the same. We must continue the cycle to ensure improvement and refinement. Okay, letter D, act. Appointment, number 1, who usually makes the final decision regarding credentialing in a managed care organization or MCO? A, governing body. B, credentialing committee. C, quality improvement committee. D, chief medical officer. Who is responsible? Yes. Yes, it's the credentialing committee. Who is responsible for this decision? Is it the governing board, the credentialing committee, quality program committee, or chief medical director? So the answer is credentialing committee. Many people get confused when they see the term final decision. Final decision. And immediately assume it refers to the governing board. But be careful, what is the final decision about? If it's related to credentialing, then it is handled by the credentialing committee. However, if it's regarding appointment or reappointment, or meaning hiring or renewing a contract, then the governing board is responsible. The credentialing committee reviews the credentials, verifies the surgical certifications, ensures their validity, and makes the final decision on credentialing. But after that, the general manager or the owner of the institution makes the final approval on appointing or renewing the contract of the physician. Okay. Who makes the final decision regarding reappointment to the medical professional? Staff in hospital. A, governing body. B, medical staff executive committee. C, credentialing committee. D, medical staff as a whole. So it is the governing body. So for final decision on credentialing, it is the final decision on credentialing. It is the
final decision is by credentialing.
Yes. For final decision on reappointment, it's the
final decision.
For reappointment.
Appointment by the credentialing committee. Final decision regarding next appointment will be by the governing body.
Yes, it's the governing body. Now, if you get a question asking who has the ultimate responsibility for credentialing, who has the ultimate responsibility for ultimate credentialing, the answer is governing body or the governing board. Exactly, because the ultimate responsibility falls under them. Another question, when we decide to reappoint a physician, what data do we review? We review the
data.
Yeah, what kind of data? Profession, a physician, profile or practitioner profile,
Practitioner
which
profile.
contains data related to surgical site infection
Certificate.
rates, mortality rates, privileges granted to the physician, any limitations or restrictions placed on their privileges, and all this information is documented in their practitioner or or physician profile. Okay? Or practitioner,
Privileges.
practitioner is
Privilege.
profile. Don't forget. Now, another question. When we reappoint a physician, do we need to conduct a credentialing again? Do we need to conduct
Yes, we need.
credentialing? There are
Yeah.
some certifications that do not require credentialing again, and others that do. For example, when a physician is initially appointed, we conduct credentialing on their degrees, diploma, master's, and bachelor certificates. These are verified only once because they do not have an expiration date.
Yes.
So they do not require re-credentialing every time a contract is renewed. Sa hulala.
Yes.
However, if the patient during their employment for 2 to 3 years obtains additional certifications such as CPHQ, CPR, CPPS, and other advanced certificates, these certificates do have expiration dates and therefore require re-credentialing. So when reappointing a physician, we conduct re-credentialing only for certificates that have expiration dates. Additionally, during reappointment, we also conduct a review of the practitioner profile, which includes big data such as infection rates, as I've mentioned, performance metrics, and all related medical data. In summary, reappointment involves re-credentialing only for certificates with expiration dates. It also includes reviewing the practitioner profile or the physician profile to assess the physician's performance and outcomes. Okay, clear?
Clear.
Clear. The pharmacy unit reported that there is an increase in the use of expensive drug. As a quality professional, you should review A, effectiveness and efficiency of the drug, B, process of prescribing and dispensing of this drug, C, share data with peer from prescribing physician.
Process of
Okay, so in this
prescribing.
case, what does it represent? It represents what?
Prescribing and dispensing errors.
Complaint. Now, when someone
Error.
files a complaint, because see here, reported. So meaning there's a complaint. Now, when someone files a complaint or reports an issue about a group of an individual, should we take immediate action or should we first investigate and verify the complaint? Of
Investigate
course.
and verify.
Yes, exactly. We need to investigate first. So for example, if someone says this person did XYZ, do you immediately confront the accused person and take action? No. You first investigate the claim, right? This means that for any complaint, the first step is always an investigation. So in every question related to complaints, look for the answer that implies investigation. Possible answer choices might include collecting data or review the process and training on data interpretation. Now, in the given question, so the options are effectiveness and efficiency of the drug, B, process of prescribing, dispensing of this drug, and C, share data with peer from prescribing physician. So the first thing to do is to review the prescribing and dispensing process to verify if there is indeed an increase in the prescription of this expensive drug. Investigate and confirm the facts first. Now, what's the second step? If we confirm that there is an increase in the use of this expensive drug, the second step would be sharing data.
Yes.
But with whom should we share the data? Should
the
we share
prescriber.
it with influential staff or with the
Peer.
people from the prescribing section?
Peers.
Yes, to the people from the prescribing section. So the correct answer is to share the data with influential staff. Why? Because they can analyze and
The
interpret
action is correct or not.
the data, giving
Prescription
feedback
is correct.
on what might be causing the issue. So we first conduct an investigation, then share data with the right people to understand the root cause before taking any further
Yeah,
action.
yeah.
Now, the third step after data sharing is what? We have to
Sharing the data and
review the claim.
yeah.
Pay attention here. Okay. This is extremely important. Don't just focus on memorizing answers or skipping through the slides quickly from the previous topics without understanding the reasoning. If you do that, you will really struggle later. So during the explanation, I highlight details that can change the correct answer to the question. It's not just about knowing the question and its answer, but it's about understanding the concept and learning how to approach it, as well as the factors that can alter the correct answer or response. So now, are we clear here now? So we have to share data with peer from the prescribing physician. Okay, number 2, staff was informed healthcare professional that use expensive drug has been increased over the last 6 months. Which of the following would be healthcare professional next step? A, collect data related to straightening and monitoring the effective of the drug. B, collect data related to the prescribing and dispensing patterns of drug. C, continue monitoring the pharmacy data in addition 6 months. D, recommended to review of prescribing of practitioner. Now let's move on here. Review this question. So a healthcare professional has observed an increase. There's an increase in the use of an expensive drug over the last 6 months. So which of the following will be most appropriate action? So these are all 4 choices here. So we already established that this is as I've said, a complaint. And as we discussed before, the first step in handling a complaint is always an
Investigation.
very good investigation. So which answer fits best? So we need to collect data about the prescribing data. Okay, about the prescribing pattern to determine what is driving the increase in the drug's usage. Let's illiterate it. When you see a complaint or an issue raised, your first instinct should be to investigate, right? So that means looking for answers that involve collecting data, reviewing process, and analyzing the trends. Only after investigating can move to the next step, such as taking action or making recommendations. If we confirm that the drug's prescription has indeed increased, the next step would be sharing the findings with irrelevant stakeholders to understand the reason behind it before making any policy changes. Okay, clear? Yalla. Incidence rate. Number 1, effectiveness of local flu vaccination program is best measured by A, local prevalence rate to local incidence rate, B, local vaccination rate to local prevalence, C, local prevalence rate to national one, D, national incidence rate to local incidence rate. This question is very important because it helps us grasp the concept. It asks the effectiveness of a local vaccination program is assessed by what? Now, if you want to administer a vaccine and assess its effectiveness, how do you determine that? You assess its effectiveness by checking 2 main factors. We have here the incidence rate, or we call it new cases, which is the number of new infections that occur after vaccination. Another factor is the immunization rate, meaning the proportion of the population that has received the vaccine. These two factors together provide the best way to evaluate a vaccination program. Again, two main factors, incidence rate, or we call it new cases, and the immunization rate. Okay, these two factors together provide the best way to evaluate a vaccination program. You observe the vaccination rate, meaning how many people got vaccinated, and the new incidence rate, meaning how many still got infected despite vaccination. So the answer here is local prevalence rate to local incidence rate.
Okay.
Okay. Effectiveness of local flu vaccination program is best measured by A, local immunization rate to local incidence rate. B, local
Yes.
vaccination rate to local prevalence. C, local prevalence rate to one national. D, national incidence rate to local incidence rate. So I have
Local
already,
incidence.
yes. Now looking at the question above, it only provided incidence, but did not include the immunization rate. In that case, the next best answer would be compared to local incidence with the local prevalence rate. That's the rationale in the above first question. So what is local prevalence rate? It is the total number of cases over a given period. So to measure effectiveness, we compare the total number of cases before vaccination and the new cases that appeared after the vaccine was introduced. So this helps us determine if new cases have decreased compared to before vaccination or if they have remained the same. Other answer choices suggested the using local vaccination rate alone or comparing the local prevalence with the national incidence, but this would not be as useful. We are primarily concerned with the local incidence rate after vaccination compared against either immunization rate or prevalence rate. Okay? Now, accreditation. A healthcare organization is seeking accreditation. The first step the healthcare quality professional should take is to A, review the organization's bylaws, rules, and regulations. B, becomes familiar with the appropriate standards. C, establishes a quality assessment committee. D, review the organization's policies and procedures.
Familiar with the standards.
Healthcare organization is taking accreditation. The first step to establish quality professional, there are steps. So remember, the first step is what? Do you still remember?
Commitment, leaders' commitment.
Yes, very good. It's the leadership commitment. Okay, and then what comes after is to?
Staff orientation.
Yeah, very good. Review the standards and professional standards. So meaning I bring the standards and the rules. So the answer is becomes familiar with the appropriate standards. In an organization as a CPHQ to help in preparedness to survey of accrediting body, the quality manager will first A, assign a team for the survey, B, arrange for mock survey, C, educate staff about types of questions that may be asked, D, review the adherence of the organization to quality standard of accreditation.
Assign a team.
Okay, the benefit of the standards to talk about. What after that I go do what? So what to do here is to assign team to prepare the
Survey.
assign team to prepare the whole team. So from the team, we do education for the standard. After that, I do check online. So meaning I do education for the frequently asked questions. I do education for the etiquette, for the feedback process. I do mock survey, the thing which is review audience to standard. In here, he asked me about the first step and he says, meaning the surveyor, review organization by rules and regulations. So next would be become familiar with the professional standards, establish a quality assessment method, and review organization by the preference. Of course, the review standards and professional standards is the correct answer. Okay, for example, he will tell you here that organization is taking quality improvement program to improve quality care. What is the first thing we do? So first thing we do is to assign team for service improvement. Next, education. Staff about types of questions that might be asked, or review the audience of the organization to quality standards of accreditation. Okay, what is the correct
Okay.
answer here?
Assign a
So,
team.
yeah. Why we did not choose the review the audience of the organization to quality and standards of accreditation? Because we did not choose this one because review audience means check the compliance, because this is the last step. So it doesn't go from the beginning to review the standard. He tells you first step, check compliance and review audience. So here we will choose assign team for service. The people who chose review mock survey, do you see it logical here when we choose the a review mock survey? No, because the mock survey is in the last thing, meaning this is the last thing after we form the team and do education for the standard from the team. And finish review came, then I do the review mock survey. Then that's the time I do education for the frequently asked question. Okay, so the first thing here is to assign a team for the survey. Okay, and the last thing would be the assign or arrange for mock survey. Okay. So consensus does not mean a unanimous vote. Everyone getting what they want. Everyone finally comes around to the right option, my opinion, and reaching a compromise. Consensus means everyone understands the decision and can explain why it is best, and everyone support the decision. Consensus means that either everyone supports the decision or that everyone understands the decision and can explain why it is subject. But consensus does not mean an unanimous support, because an unanimous support means that all agree. And it is not necessary that in consensus everyone agrees. Doesn't mean everyone getting what you want, because it doesn't mean that all of them agree. Doesn't mean everyone finally comes around to the right opinion. Also, doesn't mean that all agree again. Doesn't mean reaching compromise. So it means that everyone supports. Number one, decision by consensus means A, an unanimous agreement. B, all support the decision. C, the degree of the majority. And D, nobody agrees. Look at the question. Decision by consensus. Does it mean unanimous?
No.
Yes, no. Or support the decision?
Yes.
Yes. The agreement of majority?
No.
Very good. Nobody agrees?
No.
Very good. Why is it not the agreement of majority? Because the agreement of majority means the majority agrees, and there's another group that doesn't, meaning not agreeing, not aware. I want even if they are the majority agreeing and the rest are also supporting, then that is consensus. But just a majority agreeing while the rest are not, and that's not consensus. Ununanimous agreement, meaning A, all agree about the decision. B, the agree of the majority. C, nobody agrees.
All agree.
All agree about the decision. Number 3, in team decision making, consensus means a unanimous vote. To be everyone getting what they want. To be everyone finally comes around to the right opinion. And for everyone understands the decision and can explain why it is best. Okay, in decision making, consensus means, okay, consensus means ununanimous.
Support.
Or everyone getting what you want. or everyone finally comes around to the right opinion, or everyone understands the decision and can explain why it's understood. Meaning,
Everyone understands.
understands and supports the decision. Yes, that's the correct. Okay. Facilitator means focus on the process only, while leader focus on process and content. The team facilitator and the team leader, what's the difference between them? When we say team facilitator, always focuses on the process and is not concerned at all with the content. For example, we are discussing a medical topic and the facilitator is someone from the administrative team. It's completely fine for them not to have any expertise or knowledge about the medical subject. Their role is simply to manage the group and focus on the process of the meeting itself. On the other hand, the team leader must be involved in the process itself and must focus on both process and content. They need to be engaged with the content as well. So it is said that a facilitator should be skilled in process evaluation and the tools of performance evaluation. Process evaluation and tools of performance evaluation. They must not have a vested interest in the content, should not be in a leadership position, should not speak unless directly directed by the team leader, and should not be a frontline contributor. Of course, the correct answer is that they should not have a vested interest in the content. They are not concerned with the content at all. Number one, the role of a team facilitator is to focus on A, analyzing problems during meetings, B, process, C, generating and selecting solutions, D, content.
The process.
Okay, the process. Now, what is the role of a team facilitator? Do they focus on analyzing problems, the process, generating and selecting solutions, or the content? Obviously, they focus on the process. Number two, one of the team members that keep members on track and focus on the process is A, leader, B, facilitator.
Facilitate.
Yeah, one of the key members must stay on track and focus on the process, and that person is, of course, the facilitator. An effective facilitator should be skilled in process evaluation and the tools of performance evaluation and must A, not have a vested interest in the content, B, in a salaried position. Excuse me. C, not speak unless directed by the team leader. D, be a frontline employee. Okay, the answer here is not have
Not
a vested interest in the content. An effective facilitator focuses on the process rather than the content. Their role is to ensure discussions flow smoothly, encourage participation, and guide the group toward achieving objectives without bias. If a facilitator has a vested interest in the content, they may unintentionally influence the discussion or outcomes, reducing their neutrality and effectiveness. PSI. Okay. Now let's differentiate between the patient's safety indicators and prevention quality indicators. Prevention quality indicators are useful in A, monitoring of mortality rate for medical and surgical patients, B, identifying avoidable intervention or admissions, C, identifying preventable complications and iatrogenic events for pediatric patients, and identifying potentially avoided complications. So here, prevention quality indicators were useful for what? For
avoidable.
Monitoring mortality. Now, which indicator specifically focuses on monitoring the mortality rate for medical and surgical patients? This indicator is called the inpatient
Clinical indicator.
Yeah, quality indicator. Yeah, tama. Okay. Next, number two, indicators designed to identify potentially avoidable complications. We have A, prevention quality indicators, B, inpatient quality indicators, C, patient safety indicators, D, pediatric quality indicators.
Patient safety.
Yes. Identifying avoidable intervention. So meaning we said that avoidable interventions refer to admissions, Meaning they focus on what? Yes, the outpatient quality indicators. Outpatients are under control and are not frequently admitted, especially chronic disease patients who manage their blood sugar well and do not frequently experience hyperglycemia complications. Now, what about identifying preventable complications in pediatrics? What is that called? We call it pediatric quality
Clinical
indicator.
adequate indicator.
Yes, if we are identifying potentially avoidable complications, but no specific group is mentioned, what do we call it? It's patient safety indicator.
Safety indicators.
Yes, okay. Low medication error rate in a healthcare organization may be due to a highly developed culture of safety, B deficient reporting system. C, the staff is reluctant to report due to fear of reprisal. The organization failed to adopt a performance improvement approach for error reduction. What is this question asking? It says
Low
if the medication error rate in a quality organization is low. So in here,
developed a culture of safety.
okay, yes, highly developed culture of safety. So in here, we have 4 scenarios here, okay. For scenario 1, low medication error rate, okay, low medication error rate. If the medication error rate decrease, low medication rate decrease, what does this mean? It means that there is a highly developed, okay,
OVR.
patient safety culture. Patient safety culture, that the patient safety culture has improved, leading to a reduction in medical errors, right? Now, let me ask you a question. What if the medication error rate is high instead of low? Okay, so we have the scenario 2. Okay, for the scenario 2, which is the high medication error rate. If the medication error rate is high, what could be the possible reasons? One possible answer is that there is a poorly developed patient safety culture. Another possibility is that the organization failed to adopt a permanent approach for error reduction, meaning the medication error are still increasing. Now we have covered the first 2 scenarios. Let's move on to reporting rates. Increasing reporting rates, what does this mean? It means that people are reporting everything. They report the near misses, errors, and any mistakes they encounter. What does that tell us? It means there is a highly increasing, increase reporting rate, meaning there is a highly developed patient safety culture and a blame-free culture, what we call the just culture. Okay. Now, number 4 scenario, decreasing reporting rate. Okay. What happens if there's a decrease in reporting rate? There is fear of reprisal. This means that a no blame culture is not applied. So employees hesitate to report errors because they fear being punished for reporting mistakes, also facing negative reactions and getting a bad reputation. All right, now that we understand the 4 scenarios, again, to summarize, if the medication error rate decrease, meaning there is a highly developed patient culture. Scenario number 2, if the medication rate increase, meaning there is a poor patient safety culture or failure to reduce errors. Scenario number 3, if the reporting rate is increased, meaning good, there is a just culture. There is an increased patient safety culture. What about for the scenario number 4? If the reporting rate decreases, meaning people fear reporting due to the absence of a no blame culture and fear of reprisal. Clear now?
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, to develop a culture of safety, it is first to A, make it safe to make mistakes, B, establish a punitive reporting system, C, blame is enough, D, focus efforts on individuals rather than system. Okay, so the answer here is letter A. Okay. What is the first and most important step to develop culture of patient safety?
No
Mm.
punishment.
In here, B, C, and D are all wrong. They go against the principles of patient safety culture, right? Meaning establishing a punitive, blame is enough, focus efforts on individuals rather than systems. So the best answer here is just culture. So which is make it safe to make mistakes, meaning educating people about it and making sure that mistakes are learning opportunities rather than punishable offenses. Okay, number 46. Number 3. High reporting of medical errors and near miss is a mirror of A, defective quality of care, B, feeling protected by a non-punitive culture of medical errors reporting, C, sophisticated system, D, conflict of interest. Okay, it's letter B, reporting medical errors and awareness. Is it an error in quality culture or a feeling of protection within a non-punitive culture of medical error reporting? Of course, when everyone reports errors and reporting level are high, this indicates that there is a feeling of protection within a non-punitive culture. Okay, letter B. Now moving on to quality council. Number 1, who is responsible for providing organizational direction for a facility's continuous quality improvement? Quality council, facilitator, teams leader. Now let's recall the role of the quality council. So quality council here, oversight, right? What else? Yes, what else? Direction.
Direct.
Ishtani.
And they are
Evaluation. Okay, evaluation. What else?
quality improvement.
Prioritization.
Right.
Yeah, and also disbanding. Remember?
Yes.
Okay, so the answer here is quality council. For number 2, who has the responsibility of determining improvement priorities in a healthcare organization? A, quality council, B, governing body, C, the chief executive officer, the quality director. Okay, the answer is still quality council. Who is responsible for providing organizational direction for any site improvement initiatives? It is the quality council. And who has the responsibility of determining improvement priorities? It is also the quality council, which sets the priorities for performance improvement. Okay. In here, so let's distinguish between these 3 leadership styles. When we say participatory, I mean transactional leadership, this focuses on transactional day-to-day. Day-to-day management activities. It deals with daily actions and operations. What about participatory? Participative focuses on motivation, empowerment, energy, and inspiration. And transformational is same also, focusing on the motivation, empowerment, energy, and inspiration. So how do you choose between participative and transformational leadership? It depends on the question. If it says attends a meeting, the answer is participative leadership. If it says attends a series of meetings, the answer is transformational. Okay, attends a meeting, meaning participatory. Attends a series of meetings, the answer is transformational. Number 1, leader that always arrange meetings and facilitating it to reach for staff morale with their scheduling and day operation. Which type of leadership? A, participative, B, transactional, C, transformational, D, motivative. Be careful. The question mentions daily operations, which might make you think it's transactional leadership. However, it also states facilitating, staff morale, meaning leader is boosting their motivation before they carry out their daily task. So the answer here is transformational. Number 2, leader assigned few meetings and facilitating the staff for more autonomy for daily operation and scheduling. A, participative; B, transactional; C, transformational; D, motivated. Okay, so how do you choose between participative and transformational leadership? As I mentioned a while ago, it depends on the questions. So if it says attends a meeting, meaning the answer is participative. Few meetings here, okay? If it says attends a series of meetings, the answer is transformational. So since here, the keyword here is few meetings, and that participative leadership is the answer. Clear?
Yes.
A leader that always arrange meetings and manage employee on day-to-day operation. Which type of leadership? A, participative; transformational; motivative; and transactional. Okay.
Transaction.
So this one is clearly transactional leadership. So this type of questions will come up in your revision and exam. So I'm trying to link them together for you to avoid confusion. Tamam? Next will be a health organization is becoming a member in a health plan. Becoming a member in a health plan. Health plan is our MCO or the managed care organization. The most important educative program to be delivered to the staff is a organizational change. The conflict of interest, see consumer needs, the accreditation needs. Okay, understanding the impact of the organizational changes on education programs. The question states that there is here a scenario one. So meaning contracting with a health plan or the insurance company, the MCO. So suppose an organization signs a contract with a health plan, meaning it has partnered with an insurance company, okay? So that does not change the organization's mission, vision, values, transactions, or structure. The only difference is that instead of receiving a small number of customers, the organization now receives a significantly larger number of insured customers from the health plan. For example, instead of getting 10 customers, it may now receive 100 customers due to the contract with the insurance company. Okay, what increases here? The consumer needs. So what type of training is needed? The staff needs training on how to handle increased customer needs, such as expanding the reception desk staff and also increasing the waiting room capacity, also to extend the working hours and understanding the consumer needs. So the correct answer is consumer needs because there is no organizational change. So we do not need training on organizational change or complex events. Number 2, a facility is becoming part of a healthcare network. Which of the following employee education programs is most important? A, quality teams; B, organizational change; C, consumer expectations; D, conflict resolution. Okay, so the answer here is the organizational change. If the question says the entity is becoming part of a healthcare network, the situation is different. Here, the organization is not just contracting with an insurance company, but is merging into a large healthcare network. So, for example, if the organization was independent before and then became part of a network of a clinic, it will now operate under the network's name and structure. So, what changes? The organizational structure changes. So, what type of training is needed? Employees will need training on organizational change to understand the new network structure, policies, and operations. Okay? So, just to sum up, joining a health plan or the insurance company trains staff on consumer needs. Becoming part of a healthcare network, meaning train staff on organizational change. Okay? Next, during the team meeting, the facilitator should do the first. A, choose homogeneous group. B, make ground rules. C, make report to the group. Okay. So we have to make grounds, right? So facilitator's role in team meeting. Okay. To answer this, let's break down the 3 key roles of a facilitator. We have the reviewing ground rules, meaning at the beginning of the first meeting, the team set ground rules. The facilitator oversees this process. At the start of every meeting, the facilitator review and reminds everyone of these ground rules. Another key role of a facilitator is building rapport. Building rapport. So meaning here, in a focus group, which is the customer satisfaction survey, members come from different backgrounds and may not know each other. So this can lead to conflicts or lack of cohesion. So the facilitator's role is to establish a rapport and group dynamics. To ensure the smooth teamwork, another key role is to redirect discussions, meaning if the team gets off track or a discussion shifts in the wrong direction, the facilitator redirects the conversation to keep it relevant and productive. Now, the example questions and answers. During a team meeting, what should the facilitator do first? Homogeneous group? This is wrong. Establishing ground rules? Okay. So, make rapport with the group? It's wrong also. So the correct answer is to establish or make ground rules. So if it's the first meeting, they set ground rules. If it's a regular meeting, they review the ground rules. Who is responsible for setting the ground rules? Team leaders, team members, facilitators, all of them together. All team members participate in establishing ground rules. For number 2, which of the following actions should the facilitator make the highest priority during the customer focus group process? We have A, providing ground rules to the group. B, establishing rapport with the group. C, selecting homogeneous group. D, generalizing the findings to the population. Okay, what should be the facilitator's highest priority during a customer focus group? So whenever you see a focus group, the correct answer is focus group. Okay, this is the correct answer is group dynamics. Okay. Okay. And here the letter B is establishing rapport with the group, which is we refer this one as the group dynamics. So the first meeting, to summarize, first meeting is to set ground rules. Regular meeting is to review ground rules. Focus group, establish rapport with the group or establish group dynamics. And discussing getting off track, redirect the conversation. Okay. Do you have any doubts or any questions?
No.
Okay, let's move on. Number 1, surgeon operated on wrong finger. Then he disclosed the event to the patient and to the head of the department. But the head of the department believes the error occurred because the splint was not removed and site marking was not done. The surgeon knew his error and said it will never happen again. The head of the department decided nothing to be done. CPHQ should conclude A, head of department made hindsight bias and minimize the situation. B, rapid identification of the root cause is a good indicator for opportunity, high reliable culture. So what we have to do here is to establish a
Establish a rapport with the bias.
RCA. Because the scenario, what is the scenario here? Is the wrong site surgery. Yes. So the surgeon acknowledges his mistake and said it will never happen again. So what should be done next? If a wrong site surgery happens or nearly happen, an RCA must always be conducted, even if the error was caught before it actually occurred. Why conduct RCA even if the error did not happen? Errors that almost happened today could turn into real accidents tomorrow, right? If we don't analyze the root cause and identify weaknesses in the system, the same mistake might occur again. Therefore, even near misses require RCA. Okay? To prevent future incidents. Answering exam questions on RCA, if you see question like this, the next action and the first response should always be conduct a root cause analysis. The only exception is if the question states that someone refused to take action or conduct RCA. For example, if the head of the department says nothing needs to be done, recognizing bias in decision making. If a leader refuses to investigate the cause of an error, this indicates a hindsight bias, meaning when someone ignores or downplays an incident because they believe it won't happen again. That's the meaning of hindsight. What about intentional bias? Okay, we have two bias. We have the hindsight and the intentional bias. When we say intentional, when someone covers up an error instead of addressing it. For now, for the exam strategy, if no action is being taken and someone says nothing needs to be done, then the correct answer is bias. If the refusal to investigate is not mentioned, then the answer would be lack of identification of the root cause. To summarize, wrong side surgery or the near miss always conduct RCA. And if there's a refusal to investigate the cause, this indicates bias. If refusal is not mentioned, meaning there's a lack of root cause identification. Orthopedic surgeon almost performed wrong side, almost, meaning near miss. Performed wrong side surgery, he admitted and told the CMO, okay, the chief medical officer, said that the problem was because the splint was not removed. A healthcare professional conclude A, no action. B, the CMO decision was biased to the surgeon. C, rapid identification of root causes approaching high reliability. What is the scenario here? Between rapid identification and versus root cause analysis. So the question involves a side effect issue where the patient was admitted again with the same problem and the cause was identified as an incorrect product load. Since no one mentioned that nothing needs to be done, what should you choose? Since nothing needs to be done, no one mentioned it. So what would be the answer? Okay. Yes, rapid identification of root causes approaching high reliability. Even though the phrase most minimal action is mentioned, you still need to conduct a rapid identification and allow it with root cause analysis to prevent recurrency. Okay? So again, if an error occurs or nearly occurs, always conduct RCA. If refusal to act is mentioned, bias is present. If there's no mention of refusal, then choose rapid identification. Resurgery for missed surgical gauze in absence of incident report. What is the only proof for it? A, peer review. B, monitoring surgery. C, patient complaint. D, process evaluation. Okay, the answer here is peer review. Number 2, resurgery for missed surgical gauze in absence of incident report. The only reliable proof is same also is peer review. So what is the only proof? So we can confirm and justify or prove the situation by through peer review. Even a physician discloses and reports the incident, the best way to verify the situation is through a peer review. Peer review provides an objective assessment and determines whether the medical actions taken were appropriate or not. So in such cases, peer review is the best answer. Okay. Number 50. Slide 56, I mean. So the most important skills in data analysis: A, choose appropriate tool; B, choose proper team; C, stratify the data into groups; and D, ask a good questions. Most important skills in data analysis is to choose appropriate tool. So most important skill in data analysis, what is the most important here? Is to choose an appropriate, because this ensures the proper data display and accurate interpretation. If you use the wrong tool, your analysis will be incorrect. So for example, suppose you need to present, patient call rates over time. So the correct method will be used to present is, it's either the run chart, and or control chart. If you mistakenly use a bar chart, so it won't provide the right interpretation. Okay, so conclusion: choosing the wrong tool leads to misinterpretation. Okay, is that clear? The first step in conducting an epidemiological study is to A, determine which statistical test to use; B, formulate the question to be answered; C, develop the data collection tool; D, collect the data. The answer here is formulate the question to be answered. Okay? So whether it's a biological study or any other research study, the first step is always a good intention of the data to be collected. If the question asks for the first step in conducting a study or the first step in data collection, both refer to the same thing. So this means formulate the question to be answered. This ensures that you clearly identify or identification the data you need to collect. Okay. Next, which of the following elements must be present in order to evaluate the effectiveness of a healthcare organization's quality improvement program? A, quantifiable objective; B, support from the medical staff; C, well-defined organizational structure; D, integrated data collection. Radha, quantifiable objectives. Okay, the question is simple, so let's go step by step. In the curriculum, there are 4 types of evaluation, right? If you can still remember. So how do we evaluate any performance improvement program? Okay, answer: before starting an improvement program, you must set clear goals. So after implementing the improvement, you need to evaluate, did the improvement happen? Were the goals met or not? Or how do you measure this? Or by comparing outcomes with pre-established goals and objectives. So to go back to the different types of evaluation, we have the performance improvement program evaluation. Okay, we have also this comparing the outcomes with the pre-established goals. Next will be team performance evaluation. Teams are evaluated using the 3 factors: productivity, the member satisfaction, and the informal group dynamics. And third is training program evaluation. This means training is evaluated using the KSA, knowledge, skills, attitude, focusing on the behavior change and cultural change. And lastly, the meeting evaluation, meaning meetings are evaluated based on attendance and activity continuation. Okay. Next would be the best way to evaluate any team is by A, learning and innovation; B, quantifiable objectives; C, member satisfaction; and D, aligning the vision of the organization. So how to evaluate is by the members' satisfaction. Okay, training effectiveness. So this answers the KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitude, which is a behavioral change. Okay, number 1, CQI. CQI training implementation, continuous quality improvement training implementation success is proven by A, data satisfaction; B, staff competency; C, governing body; D, organization culture. Okay, what proves the success of quality improvement training implementation is through the organization culture. Since training is evaluated based on the behavioral change, the best way to assess training success is by looking at changes in the organizational culture. Number two, effectiveness of performance improvement program best assessed by A, customer satisfaction, B, staff competencies, C, guideline compliances, D, organizational culture.
Customer satisfaction.
Okay, customer satisfaction. So to measure the success, we compare the outcomes with the initial goals. Okay, because the customer satisfaction, this is the main goal of performance improvement, is to enhance the customer satisfaction. Okay, next, AHRQ trigger. This is the organization trigger. The IHI rather. This is organizational trigger. For the AHRQ, Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, developed the house guideline, and it also created the KBS knowledge base system and established the indicators and patient safety indicators. AHRQ also introduced the patient safety culture survey. To what form refers the amendment clause and the NHSN program established through the CDC for infection control rate benchmarking data. Important for exam. Questions often asked about benchmarking data for infection control. If a question refers to accreditation for a management organization, the answer is nursing performance accreditation. The main healthcare accreditation organization is JCI, or the Joint Commission International, and performance management is covered by the ORIX initiative. For the deemed status, which is the accreditation equivalencies given for JCI, DNV, and CIHQ accreditation. Okay. So we compared the leadership style already for the transactional style. So manage day-to-day activity and always arrange meetings. For the transformational, goes beyond day-to-day activity and focus on encouraging and empowering team members and attend series of meetings. While participative, style encourage and empower staff and attend few meetings. For the roles, we mentioned the roles related to the leader role, which involve data collection, assessment, planning, and project timeline management. The process of collecting data includes gathering and analyzing data. When we say quality council role, this oversights, they direct and monitor, prioritize, and evaluate the quality initiatives, the team evaluation, and the team disbanding. For the leader's role, put criteria for data collection and choose performance measures, put plans and timelines for the project. While the process owner role, collect data and make initial analysis for data. What about team sponsor? They allocate resources for team. So success or failure of the team is under responsibility of sponsor, not team leader. The team sponsor is the project owner responsible for forming the team. They are responsible for the success or failure of the team. And the team sponsor is also the log resource. Example question. Who is the log resource? Hello? The team sponsor. Team leader. So put plans and timeline to help team members to achieve goals and choose performance measure to measure projects. The team leader resets the plan and timeline. These are the three different roles. First step of a meeting, they define the roles and then the contributions. In case of focus groups or bulk projects, discussion should cover new issues as well. So the facilitator help all team members in making ground rules and review if it every time in the first meeting. So make rapport between team members or the group dynamics in case of focus group. Redirect the group in case of discussing new issues and help team leader in conflict resolution. So for the structure, anything lead to perform process. So this includes the machines, equipment, working hours, components that help execute a process. While process is any action performed or any compliance with the process or compliance with the standard falls under this category, while the outcome, the result of the process. Okay. For the outcome, the result of the process, examples that include satisfaction, dissatisfaction, complaint rate, morbidity rate, and mortality rate. All of these are considered outcomes. Okay, data display tools conclusion. So the first for the non-continuous data, we have the pie chart, we have the bar chart, and the Pareto chart. Pie chart for proportion like satisfaction. Bar chart for comparison or causes for any problem. While the Pareto chart for causes of any problem for prioritization using the 80/20 rule, 80/20 rule. For the second, for continuous data, using the control or run chart and the histogram. When we say control or run chart, for displaying data over time. For the histogram, for screenshot of data for one variable, not more than one, like the height, weight, and population. For the data discretes, we have the continuous and non-continuous data. So non-continuous data meaning it is descriptive or numerical, and the numbers cannot have decimal values. So we display it on pie, bar, or Pareto. So for the continuous data, we'll display it in one of the three, which are control run, and histogram. Okay. Efficacy, capacity to do the service, or how many people caught diseases after giving vaccine. Well, when we say effectiveness, this is the outcome gained after giving specific clinical service. An example of giving analgesic, so pain relieved. What about appropriateness? As an example, appendectomy surgery, you will review the procedures to ensure that the patient was in urgent need for this surgery. So the difference between efficacy and effectiveness is that efficacy is the capacity. Or if you get the question, how people were cured after giving vaccine. Effectiveness is becoming the outcomes, while the appropriateness is how suitable the service is, or the appropriate of the service to individual needs. When we say evaluation, we have the team evaluation, training, meeting evaluation, and performance improvement. Team evaluation means to check the productivity, the member satisfaction, excuse, and individual growth. Excuse me. And training, excuse me. No, I have. Sorry.
Water.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and training is behavior or cultural change. And we have the KSA change. For the meeting evaluation through meeting agenda. And performance improvement by comparing outcomes with pre-established goals or identified objectives. The assessment of success for performance improvement with patient satisfaction survey. So tools for solving any problem is using the flow chart or the process mapping. And we have also the Ishikawa. Excuse. Ishikawa or the fishbone to know the causes and effect for problems. And Pareto or priority matrix for prioritization of problems. The four evaluations we mentioned today together are team training, meeting, and performance improvement. Very good. So the tools I use for problem solving, how are they ordered? First tool, we have to start problem solving. Then I want to display the process steps I have. So I display them using a flow chart. The second tool, after displaying them, I want to identify the cause of problems in each step. The second tool is Ishikawa, which is the fishbone diagram. The third tool is after Ishikawa, I want to prioritize the problems. I use either Pareto chart, priority matrix, and matrix voting. So for the sequence of steps for any complaint or survey, So just read over, and these are the sequences of steps in any complaint or service. So, for example, a complaint where one department complains that another department has an issue, like expensive medication dispensing. This is complaint, right? So the
Yes.
first step is to conduct an investigation to verify and confirm the complaint. So investigation is done through collecting data, reviewing the process, trending the data. These are all part of investigation tool. After conducting the investigation, if I find that the data is correct, I will share the data with involved staff, provide feedback on the outcome, send it to the concerned department to explain the reasons or gather inputs on this data, and form a team, conduct a meeting, and start investigating the problem and its causes. Based on findings, we will take action. So, the action taking stage, we decide whether to conduct training or implement a specific action to address the issue. What if the data is already equal or accurate? If the data is already equal, meaning there is no issue, there will be no complaint. In this case, I move directly to the next step without investigation. If the question says you have data, but does not mention that someone made a report or complaint, the sequence changes. So I start with sharing data with involved staff, then form the team, then investigate and take action. For the survey data handling, a survey is also considered a data. If a survey result shows that some inpatients are dissatisfied with nursing service while others are satisfied, then I still need to verify and confirm the data. In handling data related to a specific position, meaning if the data relates to a position, for example, a report states that a certain doctor has a high surgical site infection rate. So first is to conduct a peer review. So there's no such thing as just saying this doctor has a high surgical site infection rate. So instead, we must compare what is his infection rate. What is the infection rate of his colleagues in the same department? If the doctor's rate is within normal numbers, then there is no issue. The doctor's rate is higher. For example, colleagues have 2 to 3%, but he has 5%. Then we proceed to next step, which is after peer review, conduct a focused review. In focus review, we review 100% of cases the doctor handled. So this helps determine the cause of variation compared to colleagues. Peer review usually involves a random sample of cases to check compliance. Peer review for doctors is essential. So if issues are found, we proceed to focus review. So that concludes for tonight's lecture. If anyone has questions, then please feel free to ask if you have any doubts. So if none, so thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And I hope you understood well the explanation and the discussion tonight. Okay. So the next would be on Monday and Tuesday, inshallah, for the revision 1 and 2. Same time at 8 to 10. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.